Are there any other ways of spotting the shot?
Well, a lot of times the shooter will have to spot his own rounds, and that's something we should address as well. That becomes a little more difficult. A spotter has the advantage of being totally steady and having a really high magnification that's steadily locked onto the area where he expects the bullet to come up. And by the way, too, you're going to want to have the target situated towards the bottom part of the spotting scope, especially if you got high magnification, because you're actually looking for something that's occurring above the target. The trace is going to come above the target, and the further out you get, the higher up that's going to go. So keep that in mind.
On sight.
Ready?
For those of you guys who have like an extremely ridiculous high magnification on your scope, and when I'm shooting 338 Lapua Magnum at like 1500 meters, I don't crank that thing ever above 15 power. If I'm at 1200, it's on 12 power or 10 power. Okay. I mean, really, once you hit 1,000 meters, you can just like, okay, if you're at 1100, you can go 11 power. If you're at 1200, you can go 12 power. That maybe is a good basic rule just off the fly. But if you crank up your magnification too high, what happens is you lose complete sight of your bullet trace and the recoil because you've limited your field of view. Okay? When you increase your magnification, you're zooming in, you're seeing a smaller area, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a big mistake I see guys doing as well, is using too much magnification. If you're spotting your own bullet trace, you have to back off on the magnification. I recommend 10 power, generally speaking. If you're incredibly far beyond 1200, you can get up towards 12 and 15 power, maybe. There's not any circumstances really that I can think of for applications where you would need to spot your own rounds, okay? Like, and we're talking real world applications, hunting or tactical shooting, okay? Where you might need to spot exactly where you're hitting. If you're target shooting, it doesn't matter. You're not going to be paying attention to bullet trace as much for F-class match shooting or long-range target shooting on paper or something. But for field applications, you have to be able to spot exactly where you're going, and you don't want too much magnification screwing you up.
Now, if you are the shooter and the spotter, if you're the only one trying to spot your own shots and trace your own bullet traces, is it best to do that through the scope after you take the shot?
Well, yeah, and this is where your fundamentals of marksmanship really pay off. Is if you have a good natural point of aim. It's incredibly important. And you go back and watch the video where I explain what all that stuff is. You want to be laying totally comfortably behind the rifle, and you want to keep both eyes open, mind you, okay? And if you're doing your trigger control properly, and the rifle kind of goes off in your hands as it's pointed at the target, you want to allow the rifle to recoil, but you want to try to not flinch as much as possible and be in a comfortable position to where when you kind of snap out of the recoil and whatever flinching you're going to do, you're going to be still situated with the rifle naturally pointed at the target, because you're only going to have a very short amount of time. I mean, the flight time of the bullet might, divided by 2, because you're going to want to see that bullet coming down during this descending leg. If you're only catching it during that last second, not a very good way of doing it. So lower recoiling rifles, very advantageous. Muzzle brakes, suppressors, heavy weight on the rifle, light loads, smaller cartridges, all that stuff pays off. So if you're shooting like a really heavy hitting recoiling rifle, it can be really hard to spot your own trace because it's going to knock you around. But if you maintain your fundamentals of marksmanship, a lot of times you can kind of get past that recoil, and you're still, even though the scope's shaking, your head's steady, the rifle did its thing, and you're still able to kind of spot your own trace. That requires a lot of practice. It really does. But it can be done.
And those 4 fundamentals of marksmanship are awesome. Is that something that you came up with?
No, that's the Army and the Marines, and like most of your shooting circles are pretty familiar with that. So yeah, that's pretty much common knowledge for rifle marksmanship, And we went over that, and I forget which number it was, but I'll put the link like right there, okay? Right here's the link, see? Click on there. That's an important video, actually.
The 4 fundamentals. Can we name these off the top of our head?
Okay, see.
Let me try first here, Rex.
Okay.
You've got trigger control, which
that's in there. That's in there.
Which is an art in itself to learn, but probably one of the most important, worthwhile things as far as having a consistent shot. Your trigger control, also your cheek weld, right?
That's all part of it. Yep.
And then your frame of sight. Is it
Sight picture.
Sight picture.
Yeah, that's all part of it too. You see, you're getting parts of it for sure. You know, if you want to put it in chronological order, just real simply for you guys, you want to establish a good, comfortable, good, solid shooting position with a good, solid rest to where you're laying down, the rifle's totally steady, you're situated behind it properly. So, natural point of aim.
Being comfortable.
Being comfortable behind the rifle, and the rifle is naturally pointed at the target. Then you have sight picture. You need to make sure that you're properly situated behind the optic to where you're not canted or you're not got a blurry edge of a scope or your sights or whatever. Everything's got to be, you got to be on target exactly where you need to be, and your head needs to be situated to where it's looking straight through the optic.
And that's with your cheek weld too, right?
Yep, and that's part of it. It's all integrated. Yep, so your cheek weld. Now you have to deliver the shot. You're steady, you're naturally pointing at the target, the sights are exactly on. Now it's all about breathing, trigger control, and controlling it so your biology ain't messing up your shot. That's part of the point of aim situation kind of too. As you're breathing, so is breath control, trigger control, all the stuff is glued together. You guys can subdivide them however you want. You can make 6 bullet points, you can make 12, you can make 4. But, you know, a lot of folks have broken it up into 4. After that, if you practice the correct trigger control, you will send the round without disturbing the lay of the rifle. After the round's gone, whatever. If you have the lay of the rifle correct, you'll be able to spot your own trace, but then you want to follow through, and that's kind of where that lay of the rifle thing kind of comes back again, is because if you follow through, you're just being calm, basically. As the rifle does its recoiling, your finger's still kind of pulled to the rear, you're still kind of relaxed behind there, still with both eyes open, looking at the target.
Because as you explained to me one time, and this whole analogy made all the difference, is that when you pull the trigger, you're going to be surprised. You're going to flinch. There's going to be recoil.
Squeeze, yep, when it goes up. Yep.
No matter what, you're going to flinch and you're going to be surprised.
Yeah, you cannot prevent yourself from flinching on certain things.
But like you said, is that you prepare yourself to be surprised.
Yeah.
And with that, between the breathing and slowly pulling the trigger, it all just comes together to help you remain cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yep. And a lot of that just comes with experience. You know, a lot of folks get, they're nervous and not sure. They're not used to the trigger. They're not used to what the rifle's going to feel like. But if once you become comfortable with the rifle, then it's not really a problem to be able to deliver all those different fundamentals with a degree of efficiency in a short amount of time. Yeah. So it becomes a natural, unspoken, unthought of thing. You know, the more you handle a scoped rifle, it just becomes automatic. You just, well, that's easy. You just kind of point, aim, be still, and squeeze the trigger carefully, and you deliver it all without thinking.
Like you said, you can make how many ever bullet points you want, but really, it just takes practice.
Yeah.
Hit! Oh! Hit! Hit! Hit dead center.